balance sheet position of Max India. So, so firstly, we have broadly about sort of three buckets as we look at Max India. There's a bucket which is our investment in the residences vertical, which is the senior living residences for seniors. The second bucket is our investment in the new age businesses, which are under the assisted care services. That's our second investment bucket. And the third bucket is our assets, which really are encompassed in a lot of sorry if I'm a
There
little
is
silent.
disturbance. That's allowed.
Third bucket is
Disturbance.
our other assets in our balance sheet. So to start with third bucket, we have about 150 crore invested in our Dehradun project. We have made further investments in our Noida project, and currently, plus we have some other assets in our balance sheet which are available for future growth. So that's about 350 crore investment. Voice not clear. Is it better now? Sorry, can I be heard clearly? Okay, I think voice is not clear. Maybe then I should. Okay, it's better now. Okay, perfect. Okay, so so we have about 350 crore investments in our residences for seniors vertical. We've made about 20 crore investment in the care homes and care at home vertical, which is where our critical focus area is. Because if you look at on the rightmost side of the balance sheet, you will see around about 100 crore of investment in three towers in Max Max Towers, or three floors in Max Towers. But then there's a cash of about 438 crores. So that cash really is meant to be deployed for growth of Antara going forward, or the growth of both the residences as well as the care home and care at home verticals going forward, and Medcare vertical going forward. So the idea is that we want to essentially deploy almost 300 crore of growth capital across these businesses, of which 75% growth capital, which is about 225 crore, will get invested into the care homes and care at home vertical, whereas 75 crore investment will happen in the residences for senior vertical, which obviously is too light for a residential investment. But the reason why it's so is because we want to do it in a very investment light manner. And when I say investment light manner, what I mean is that we'll have a capital partner, which could be either an external capital partner or a group entity through which we can partner, and wherein we will commit 15% of our capital, and we will have the balance 85% of capital being brought in by either the external financial capital provider, or the or the, let's say, the group entity with which we can partner, which is into the real estate business. Also pleased to share that we have received the approvals for the capital reduction program, which has been on for a while. It took us quite a bit of sort of back and forth with the stock exchanges and SEBI to get there, but finally we've got all the approvals, and we have the requisite let's say guidance from SEBI in place for us to be able to progress this further. So that's so pleased to share that, and which would effectively mean that there will be a buyback of shares at about 85 rupees a share. So with that note, we'll move on to the business update, for which I'll request Mr. Rajat Mehta, who's the managing director of Antara, who's there with me on the call, to sort of take the discussions forward. I'm also joined by another colleague from Antara, which is Mr. Ajay Agarwal, who's the CFO of the business. And our request will be that any questions which you may have, please keep posting them in the chat window, so that we can respond to those questions in a sequential manner as they keep coming. and to please keep your lines on mute because we can hear some background noise. Thank you. So Rajit, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jatin. So I'm going to start with talking about the Antara story. Go forward, Nishan. So this is really who we are. This one slide clearly defines what Antara is doing, what Antara's aspiration is, and what our vision is. Obviously, to become the most trusted and loved brand for seniors. But within that, there are 4 verticals we are focused on. So there's residences for seniors, which started with our Dehradun journey and now Noida. So if seniors who are healthy, want to live independently, but in a community which is safe, secure, hassle-free, has the necessary services in terms of healthcare, etc., then they can choose residences for seniors, either Dehradun, where is more, more resort-like open area, or a condominium style near urban, which is Noida. And in the future, we can have such communities, as we go forward. If you look at seniors who are aging, who need assistance on a daily basis, either in terms of their medication, movement, monitoring, etc., they can choose what is called care homes. These are smaller facilities rented out, asset light, about 30 rooms, each, where you have choices of single, double room, and you have 24/7 nursing, doctors, physiotherapy, diagnostics on call. These are more meant for people who need more active intervention medically. And there could be people who have memory issues, and for them, we will open memory care homes. So that's the second vertical of care homes. Now, if there are seniors who don't want to shift to either residences or care homes, but want the same services at home, we're able to provide them services at home, which could be from ICU setup at home, to nursing at home, to caregiver at home, physiotherapy at home, X-ray at home, pathology at home, whatever services they require at home, we're able to provide them through the care at home vertical. And if the seniors need some specific medical products to aid their recovery, from respiratory aids to orthopedic aids to wheelchairs to diapers to oximeters, oxygen concentrators, that be through Medcare products. So this one slide really captures the total business of Antara as we built out our vision. Move forward. Some of the questions you're asking will get automatically answered as I complete my presentation. So senior care is a mega trend. I mean, India will, in the next 2 or 3 decades, become a very aging population. As we stand today, it is already a $10 to $12 billion market across value pools, and I will show the value pools to you. It is largely fragmented, largely underserved. While there's enough, proof that exists globally of such models in India. Can you please put yourself on mute, all of you? Please.
Please put your lines on mute.
Mr. Alok Sanganeria, you'll have to keep your on mute.
10 लाख एक में आएगा ना तो मेरा काम हो जाएगा सर। हर एक पे 50-10 लाख
keep your phone on mute, please.
मेरा अभी क्लियर हो जाएगा।
Mr. Alok, can you keep your line on mute, please?
हमने लास्ट टाइम ना करीब मई मंथ में वापस काम किया था।
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So as I said, that enough proof exists across the world of such models. Though in India it is starting to emerge now. We are at quite a vantage position because serving seniors requires the confluence of many skill sets or competencies. It requires hospitality, requires healthcare, requires hospitality and real estate, and because of our lineage in Max India, we have all the competencies under one roof. We are targeting about 4 million of the affluent population, or let's say the middle and upper middle class and above, earning about 15 lakhs plus household income in 3 clusters of North, West, and South. And even if we achieve a 1 to 2% penetration, we should be able to achieve our business objectives. Dehradun, many of you may have heard, it has set quite a benchmark. It is regarded today as the finest senior living facility in India. And we have also launched, our community in Noida, which has, received a fantastic response despite COVID. In fact, nothing, if at all, COVID has accentuated the need for such communities. So we've seen an uptick in terms of sales. We started to shift our model now towards a more service-led model called the Antara Assisted Care Services. This is quite asset light and focuses on the vertical which I've already shared with you, which is the care homes, care at home, and medical products and services. While in India the business is new, across the world these businesses attract a very healthy multiple, about 30 to 35 times of EBITDA in the US. And in the Indian space, some transactions have taken place in the last few years in care at home, which have commanded a 5 to 10x, of revenue multiple. So that just gives you a brief overview of what the sector is. I will shift on to now the pools, the value pools. Next slide. Some of you asked, where does the opportunity lie? So on the right-hand side, you see these bubbles. The size of the bubble represents the size of the opportunity. The biggest one being home healthcare, followed by online financial services, assisted living or the care homes that I was talking about, $1.1 billion, and residences for seniors, about $0.4 billion. As I said, the senior segment is growing quite fast. And the other unique thing is that more and more seniors have started to live alone, which is why the need for such services is going up. And we're also seeing a large spend by seniors, on their unmet needs, and the proportion, unfortunately, of dementia patients also is growing in India. Therefore, it's from a business standpoint quite an attractive space to be in. Next one. This gives you a pictorial representation of the verticals I was speaking about. So on the left-hand side, you find care homes, memory care homes. This is an actual picture of our care home in Gurgaon in NCR. So these are about 30 rooms or so, different options, of stay, single, double rooms. They are meant to cater to three kinds of patients. One, you could have just had a surgery and you need rehabilitation. Whether it's a knee transplant, a liver transplant, a kidney transplant, a cardiac bypass, and you need to stay in a facility where you can have rehabilitation. Second, you are a patient from outside the city or outside the country, and after surgery, you're required to stay for 6 to 8 weeks, and therefore you need a place which has boarding, lodging, and medical cover. And third, you could be a person staying alone with nobody to take care of you, and you need assistance on a daily basis. So any one of these could be a target market, and therefore this represents the care home category. The care at home on the right-hand side, as I said, this is being provided to seniors within 15-20 kilometers radius of a care home. So if you don't want to shift to the care home, but require the same services at home, critical care, physio, nursing, diagnostics, all that can be done in home. In fact, today we're doing X-ray at home as well, right? So use the same infrastructure, the same staff to either provide the service in our care home or in the home of the senior. And that's why economically it becomes very sweet. And the same seniors require medical equipment. So you see, we are trying to look at increasing our share of wallet by having a synergistic platform which can cater to all needs of seniors. These are actual pictures of our two care homes. One is in Gurgaon, one is in South Delhi in a location called Greater Kailash 2. And these are actual pictures of how the home looks like. Forward. So we did a survey as well of the acceptability of this product in the market, got very encouraging response. As you can see that for all the people who visited the care homes, COVID notwithstanding, 60% we were able to convert. We also get a fair bit of references from doctors and from hospitals. Currently, we're running at about 22%, 25, 30% occupancy. Please do remember, currently there is no medical value travel from outside. and even the elective surgeries are quite limited. Therefore, the occupancy has not gone up as much as we thought, but it's still doing pretty well. And in terms of pricing, it is quite competitive. Today, such patients end up staying in hotels or small guest houses where there is no medical cover, and they are paying as much. This gives you a view of that compared to competition, we have the most comprehensive services. Except for two, we are able to provide all services. We will not be able to do medicine delivery. That's a pharmacy business. We're not getting into that. And we can't do medical rooms in corporates because that's a non-compete we signed with the Max Healthcare business that we sold. Apart from that, we have a very comprehensive list from X-ray, ECG, critical care, physiotherapy, short stay, long stay, and we can medical equipment for sale and also medical equipment for rental. So we have a comprehensive suite. Go forward. This gives you a view that all the business lines we are in, right? Actually, each one has the potential to become quite big. So if you look at ICU, is largely a very organized, market currently. Our set of competitors is different. When we shift to pathology, we are competing with a very different set of, competitors. And if we are able, if you look at medical equipment, very different set. So each business line we are in is quite large in terms of market size and therefore has the potential to grow. So basically the message in this is a sizable market opportunity. Go forward. While we have been facing, quite tough times on COVID, we have spent time to build all the building blocks. So all our SOPs, talent, training, products, go-to-market, brand building, launching the products, etc., launching the 2 care homes. We launched operations in Dehradun. We launched the first medical store in a Fortis hospital in Gurgaon. And we have, received quite decent customer experience. Some of it is obviously the last 2 months have been quite different. So that's not part of our presentation, but we have actually, been through a tough time in April and May, though in terms of business, the revenue has been far, far better. And we've been able to serve many COVID patients, but all the building blocks, of a business are now firmly in place. This gives you a trajectory while it is, barely 6 to 9 months old. But as you can see, the care at home services have gone from a mere 4.5 lakh to about 1 crore plus revenue in Q4 FY21. The contribution itself is quite healthy. It's about 11.5% currently. However, this has the capacity to expand because there will be, as we go forward, better utilization, of the manpower that we have as the revenue picks up. And also the discount that we were giving earlier have slowly come down from 15 to 9 will go down further. So 11.5 has the capability of becoming, quite a decent number in the next, 1 or 2 years. We have deployed about 19 crores of capital so far, but the peak requirement is 225, and we will deploy about 70 crores in FY22. This gives you the care home vertical, the assisted living, as I said earlier. Again, we touched about, many patients, through this. So the orange bar gives you available bed days and the occupancy, which has been muted in the COVID situation. Somebody asked a question, did we offer the care homes at COVID isolation centers? The answer is no, because we had patients living there, we couldn't take a risk, but we did open up isolation centers for COVID separately. We operated 3, that's quite separate. But our care homes, we did not open for COVID because of patients who were staying there, but we did offer preventive COVID stay. So a lot of people came who wanted to stay there to be able to, proactively preempt COVID. That we did offer, right? So as you can see, a very healthy trajectory in terms of revenue and in terms of patients, touched. The contribution currently negative because occupancy is low. But as we start trending towards the 50-60% occupancy, obviously the revenue will go up and this gap will get covered. This gives you a view of center economics. We are very focused on every center breaking even. So in a year 5, a care home should be generating an EBITDA margin at a unit level of 20%. Average revenue 6 to 7 crores. The capex is quite limited because all we do is retrofit existing, homes that we take on rent for making them senior safe with some safety features. On the right hand side is the care at home, revenue. Again, a very healthy EBITDA margin because our focus, is on high margin lines like critical care, etc. Yeah, sorry. Okay, let's move on. This is pictures of our first store that we opened up in Fortis, Gurgaon. As I said, again, as you can see, from a very small revenue of 7 lakhs to in Q for about 47 lakhs. So quite a healthy trajectory on that side, despite the fact there were not many footfalls in the hospital because mostly they were full of, COVID for the last 1 year or so. We offer about 800 SKUs, respiratory products, rehabilitation products, wheelchairs, walking sticks, bathroom accessories, preventive and wellness, and we offer both, a rental as well as for sale. Go forward. This is now shifting from Antara Assisted Care to the residences for seniors, where you can see already that while India needs about 2 lakh units, about only 12,500, exist. Move forward. So this is our Dehradun community. We have net sales of 142, very healthy collections. In fact, last 3 months, we maintained a velocity of 2.67. And please remember, these are 3 crore plus kind of apartments. And in COVID, we have had a much better result because people saw the safety, record throughout our community. In the first wave, we had no case. In the second wave, we have, 10 cases only with staff staying in, but everybody's safe. We lost 1 patient only who became quite critical of the safe community. So the pricing is, realization is quite good and a very, very strong collection of 7 crores per month. And we brought our debt down to about 123 crores now. Go forward. Noida has been a success story. So we have sold 150 apartments very quickly in less than 1 year. The total number of units available are about 330. Here the sales velocity, as you can see, is 3 times of Dehradun. There are more affordable apartments as well. So we're selling about 6 to 7 a month, despite COVID and the lockdown. And our realization is about 7,000 rupees per square feet. A project cost of 330. The excavation already started. The piling work started. Construction, already started. And the project management, Cushman Wakefield, is already on board. So we're expecting we'll hand over possession between December 24 to March 25. A small equity from our side, has been invested, quite different from the Dehradun model. Dehradun, we had bought the land, we constructed ourselves and we sold. Here, we have a partner who contributed to the land and we have taken debt for construction and we will sell and operate the community. Forward. So overall, this is how Antara will look like in the next 5 to 6 years. About 35, 40 care homes, memory care homes, 4 or 5 communities of residences for seniors, care at home, and a medical equipment business. Go forward. So year 5, we're hoping to make about 500 crores of revenue for Antara Assisted Care with a double-digit margin on the EBITDA side, EBITDA positive from year 3, PBT positive from year 4, very healthy ROCE and IRR of 25%, and a capital return between 7 and 8. We have enough funding to be able to grow the business at this point of time. So that's how the financials will look like. Yeah. On the residences for seniors, we have shifted our strategy. As I said earlier, we are focusing on our core competencies of design, sales, marketing, and operating the community. And we will get partners in who will contribute the land as well as, the money for construction. We already have some partnerships in mind for another project in the NCR, which will soon announce in the next 4 to 5 months. So that's all I had. Some of the questions I think I already was able to answer, but Jatin, if you are moderating it, you can pop the question and I will give the answer.
Sure, sir. Thank you, Rajat. Thank you so much. I think the first question is that what is the projected mix of revenue from asset light and real estate linked assets?
So 75% of our business will come from the asset light Antara assisted care, businesses. And those are rented properties. Somebody asked the question, will we buy them? No, these are all rented properties. We will never invest in those properties apart from being a pass-through in terms of rent. So about 3/4 of our business will come from the asset light model.
The second question is that, around the capital reduction, which is to say whether we have applied for the Regulation 10(1) exemption or not. See, the process is as follows. Under Regulation 10, there's an automatic exemption from open offer. Considering that it's an automatic exemption, we don't need to specifically seek an exemption. However, once we have gotten the approval of the scheme and implemented the scheme, then we have to file some documents with them post the implementation because the exemption is under an automatic route. Okay, the next question is the market size of various services which are asset light and major players.
I have a follow-up on that one. Can I just chip in? That was my question.
My request will be that if you can just put your question on the chat window, it will be easier for us to moderate that way. If that's okay with you.
So, but then since now we are on this question,
okay,
I would prefer doing it verbally. So you mean to say that you have applied for automatic exemption with SEBI, and since it's an automatic exemption, so you assume that the exemption is granted to you?
No,
or
so we don't.
The scheme with NCLT, you will again have to go and do something with SEBI. How does it work?
So under the automatic route exemption under the Rule 10(1), the process is that you first file the scheme with NCLT, get everything done, implement the scheme, then you have to subsequently file some documents because this exemption is under an automatic route. So therefore, there is no further exemption required from SEBI or no further exemption for which we have to apply for. What we had applied for was a specific exemption which is under Regulation 11. What SEBI has told us is that you don't need to do all of that. This is under an automatic route considering it's a scheme of arrangement. So you please go ahead and take the shareholder approval, go to NCLT and implement the scheme, then file the documents with us, which is after the capital reduction has been implemented. So to that extent, the uncertainties of capital reduction from a shareholder standpoint get addressed. So next question is on what is the market size of various services which are asset light and major players as of now?
I already answered that. So it's a $10 to $12 billion market. About $4 billion is the care at home opportunity. $1.1 billion is the assisted living opportunity. And about $0.4 billion is the residences for seniors opportunity. This is the figure as of 2019.
Okay, so the next question is on the NCLT filing. So the process going forward, now that we have received this confirmation from SEBI on for the automatic route, the process going forward is that we will first take the shareholder approval. We've already got the postal ballot notice approved today in the board meeting. Now that postal ballot will be sent to the shareholders. In parallel to the postal ballot process, the NCLT scheme will be kept ready. As soon as we get the shareholder approval, we will file the scheme with NCLT for their approval. So that's the process, and the NCLT approval in this one it's under Section 66. So we expect this NCLT approval not to be a very long process because it's a simpler one. So we are quite hopeful that we should be done with this overall implementation of the capital reduction program, before close of this calendar year. The next question is, what is the consolidated long-term debt in the company's books? So there is only one debt in the company's books, which is against the Dehradun project. We have about 123 crore outstanding, and as of 31st March, which has further come down because we've had very robust collections happening in the Dehradun project. So to that extent, the other thing also is that the debt will be retired and met against the cash flows of the Dehradun inventory sale itself. So, so there is no, there is no sort of, so to say, obligation on, let's say, Max India or Antara 2.0 to that, for that matter, to meet this debt obligation. It can just be met through their own cash flows.
And if you want to add in that, Jatin, that we already prepaid till October, November, so that means there seems very unlikely possibility of any capital or any capital being utilized for this debt repayment.
Sure, Ajay. Okay, so next question is, what timeline should we expect for 10, 20, 30 care homes? Comments on their expected profit margins in the future.
So as I said, we already opened 2 in NCR, planning to open 2 or 3 more this year. Little bit we have pulled back because of the COVID situation and the hospitals not opening up to elective surgeries, no medical value travel. But the intention is over 5 years to reach about 35 to 40 of these care homes in 3 clusters of North, West, and South. We are on terms of profitability and break even within 2 years. Once the care home hits a 50% occupancy, we are able to see a break even.
Okay. Then this one you've answered, so I'll skip it. Okay. So I think there's a broader comment on saying that Max Group has been slow in scaling up their great ideas to illustrate diagnostic in erstwhile Max Health. Why such slow pace in scaling care home projects? So I think, firstly, very good question. Secondly, I think there is, at a broader Max Group level, I sort of not want to comment on the Max Healthcare business ever since we have demerged it and merged it with Radiant, because now it's a separate set of management team which is running the business. But when this business was with us, we were doing substantial volumes and we had built it to, I think, almost closer to about 100 crore revenue from the business itself, as well as what was being contributed from the home care business which Max Healthcare had. So it's not that it was not a sizable business. Now, how they scale forward is for them to, for the new management team in Max Healthcare to figure out. So insofar as our scale-up plans for care homes is concerned, I think Rajat has spoken about the plans for 10, 20, 30 centers in terms of how we want to scale that business up. Okay. The next question is, are we thinking of expanding through renting the properties? Do we own the properties, or we have our current operations?
So we all rented properties. We will not own them. It's an asset-light model. We will just spend some capex on making sure that they are safe and secure for seniors. Otherwise, we will not own. We'll always rent.
Okay. The next question is that what is the targeted ROI on Noida real estate project? What total cost and means of financing?
Ajay, you want to take that?
Yes, sir, I will. So the ROI which is expected from Noida is in the range of 17 to 18, 19%. And the total project cost for both the phases is the project cost excluding the land cost is 737 crores. And we are expecting a 18% to 19% ROI out of it. Means of finances, we have tied up with lending institutions, banks for small fund, which is a sub 100 crores. Rest money will be contributed by the promoters, which is Antara, and the original land payment which has already been done, and rest will be funded by the customer advances which we are going to get from construction link payments.
Okay, thank you, Ajay. Next question is, what's the tenor of the lease for care homes?
With the landlord, it's a long lease, so it's 9 years to start with the intention of actually making it as long as possible, but currently a 9-year lease.
Okay. The next question is saying, any alternate stroke plan B for distribution of 92 crores to the public shareholder in the event capital reduction scheme falters? So I think the critical thing here is that actually the capital reduction is actually after a plan A, B, C have been ruled out. So it really is the only option which we have to return this capital to the public shareholders, or to do the capital reduction scheme. And at this point in time, we don't see any reason why this should falter, because clearly the critical piece was to get the exemption on the open offer, which we have been now informed that it's under the automatic route, like I said earlier in my comments. So we don't see at this point in time any uncertainties. But having said that, given the fact that while Max India has significant assets and cash resources, but it does not have the reserves, requisite reserves. So therefore, any other plan like a buyback or a distribution of dividend, unfortunately, cannot be implemented by Max India. So really, capital reduction is the only plan. But again, we don't see any impediments on this going forward. The next question is, okay, this I have already answered.
Sir, can I just follow up on that, sir? Because
yeah, sure, please go ahead.
Yeah, so you are saying that you don't have any other plan. Have you all probed everything that was available in capital reduction? Buyback is the only option which you found feasible?
Yes, so I said that there are only three ways you can return capital to the shareholders. First is dividend in some form. Now there are no reserves in Max India, so obviously there are no dividends possible. Second is buyback. Buyback is also done through the reserves. So we don't have any free reserves, so therefore we can't even do a buyback. The only last option which was there available to do this was capital reduction, which is why we came up with this scheme of capital reduction to implement, the return of capital to the shareholders.
But sir, have you all not probed giving bonus redeemable preferences only to minority shareholders?
And well, redeemable preference shares one can, but those are again, it's similar because see, the problem is if I give redeemable preference shares, then the challenge is that they can be redeemed only out of the free reserves. And we don't have free reserves. So, how do you redeem? Similarly, if I give bonus is only a 1:1 share issue that does not return any capital to you. So, so rest assured, we applied full mind. This was the only option which was available. I wish we could have had other options through which we could have done this. But unfortunately, there is nothing else which is available today.
Okay, I'll come back.
Okay, I think there's another question on the pledge at Max India. The promoter pledge at Max India is 0. So there is no pledge against Max India shares as we speak. So any other question, please feel free to post on the chat window. Happy to,
Hi, Jatin, and also to the entire management team. Thank you so much for this presentation. Wishing the entire management and the promoters all the best with this. It's a great business, ethical management, wonderful people. So I'm really happy to be part of this as an investor. One quick question on the tendering process. It's pretty much like buyback, this capital reduction. I know what capital reduction is, but from the process perspective, is it going to be the same? Meaning that if I am holding, let's say, 90 shares, of course, 1/3 of it I can tender, let's say, on a proportionate basis. Or can I go on and tender all the shares that I'm holding as I can do for a buyback? What is the issue?
Okay. So you can tender all your shares as you would do in a buyback. The only difference is that given the fact that capital reduction is limited to 20% of the share capital of the company, so to that extent, if let's say the aggregate tender is higher than 20%, then the shares will be or the tendering will be sort of met or let's say fulfilled. That commitment will be fulfilled to the extent of 20%. So that will become proportionate. So what I mean is that let's say, for example, as opposed to 20%, we get 40% tendering. So in that case, 50% of your shares can be bought through the capital reduction scheme. The other 50% will be then not be eligible to participate in the scheme. However, if the tendering is less than 20%, then all your shares can be tendered.
Yeah, this is then pretty much like buyback.
Exactly. Correct.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And last question, sorry, and can be also done through online, like how buyback works, right? The tendering can be done online. Am I correct? Or is there any paper and process involved in this? Yes.
Sure. So it will be the similar process. I mean, we also have to sort of implement it on the ground, but there will be a record date. There will be notice issued. The tendering will happen. All of that will happen. I think there are questions I'm seeing now and saying, on the record date and all. See, the thing is that, we have to first go through the NCLT process. Once the NCLT process happens, then we have to do a record date.
Got it. And will this recording be available for us for any future reference?
Recording of the call?
Yes.
Oh, very much, yes. Very much.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry. Now, I think there's a question saying why no conference call. So the reason that we are actually, we do conference call in our other businesses, as you know, but since we are currently, at a stage wherein we are building the business and there's a journey, we prefer to present to the shareholder the opportunity so that they can understand the various building blocks of the business better, and therefore not do a conference call and we do a presentation through Zoom. But if that's what everyone will like, we'll be happy to do a conference call also.
This is a good method. The only thing is, if the participants are, in the beginning itself, mentioned clearly that don't open your mics too many times here and there, or you could even switch to something like Blue Jeans platform or something else, where you have an entire control. If somebody is speaking, please have somebody who can, from the host side, to mute them quickly. Otherwise, I think this is the best thing platform that you can also post it.
Yeah, that functionality actually is also on the Zoom. The unfortunate part was that, we had a little bit of a technical issue because of which the host laptop was being used to present. So we couldn't do
I see. Okay.
muting
So
and all.
next time it will be better.
Yeah. Yes. We will be, I mean, we've done this 2 times before also. We never had this issue. This time also, the person who usually does for us, the IT person, got married yesterday. So, so we couldn't pull him out.
Good reason, sir. Good reason for us not to be worried too much. It's congrats to him, and let's keep it like this, but with better controls. And I can also say this is a frugal approach. It is better to save money at this point in time than spending too much on different costly things, for sure.
Right. Thank you.
Jatin already answered the question on the capital reduction timeline. By this year calendar year end, we should be able to conclude that.
One question: which are the cities in South India which are going to be part of the cluster?
So we're looking at currently Hyderabad / Bangalore.
Okay, thank you.
Noida also, as well as the other parts of NCR. And like Rajat said, that when we look at the new clusters, it will be a Hyderabad, Bangalore, or a Mumbai, Pune cluster as we move forward from here. Okay, the next one is to say that proceeds exempt in the hands of public shareholders, like in case of a buyback, any buyback. So in capital reduction, there is no buyback tax implication. So to that extent, the proceeds are not exempt. However, the way the cost allocation happened between the Max Healthcare share price as well as the Max India share price, this will generate the tendering will generate a capital loss, which can then be utilized to offset any capital gains which the shareholders may have. So to that extent, you don't have to pay any taxes. It will only help you to get more value from some tax savings. Okay, the next question is on Max Skill First. So see, there was a reason why Max Skill First was created. Max Skill First was created because we had actually synergized the entire training vertical across the group into this one entity called Max Skill First. Now, with the hospital business being divested and the health insurance business being divested, it really became an entity which was predominantly servicing Max Life. So it was more appropriate to actually put the people from Max Life back into Max Life, so that they can then this can reduce the friction cost. So that's why we decided to dismantle Max Skill First to do that. I think the next question is if shares are bought from the market. No, so if the shares are bought from the market, company cannot buy it from the market because company cannot do a buyback. The only way to do it is that we can do a capital reduction scheme, and therefore there has to be a tender offer to do the capital reduction scheme. The next question is, considering the scaling you want to do and you need resources, I don't know what this means. I'm not very clear. So I'll
No,
go to the next question. I hope you would share a small write-up on the entire process and tax implications for the capital reduction. The entire details of capital reduction will be available as part of the scheme, which will come to the shareholders. There's also a postal ballot notice coming, which will also have all those details which shareholders may need, will be specified. A capital loss for all shareholders, including those who bought from market below 85? No, answer is not. This was actually meant, this capital reduction was meant for our existing shareholders if they will choose to exit. For them, the cost of holding is higher. But the shareholders who've bought it from the market, for them, it's a capital gains incident. So they will have to pay tax on tendering at the capital in the capital reduction. Will the proceeds of capital reduction be deemed dividend? No, answer is no, because we don't have any reserves, and that's why we couldn't have given any deemed dividend. This is a taxable event in the hands of shareholders. For the existing holders, it will generate a capital loss. For the new holders, it will generate a capital gain. And then able resources, what your strategy for recruitment? So Rajat, this is a question for you, that when we are scaling the business, we'll need resources as well as, what is our strategy for recruitment and training? Is it done in-house, and what's the plan?
Yeah, very good question. I think that's a critical ingredient of our scale up. Because we are more or less 60% into healthcare business now. Therefore, we need the talent, the phlebotomists, the physiotherapists, the nursing, the doctors, the clinicians. So in-house capability, we have set up a people center of excellence, which has recruiters. It has got trainers. We've got nursing educators also on board. So a very comprehensive training program, onboarding program, for the people is all be done in-house. Max Skills First was doing training for nurses in Max Healthcare. But since we sold that business, that capability has shifted to Max Healthcare now.
Okay. The next question is, what is the cost of demerger for Max India in the hands of original shareholder? My request is, if you can just send this to me on email, we will share it with you, though we had issued a disclosure to the stock exchange, which will tell you what the cost of those shares is. But happy to address it one-on-one if you can send an email to us, please. The next question is that we had talked about fundraising and partners. So I think there are two parts to this. The first is that as we look at our balance sheet position today, we don't really need any cash. We have 300 crore capital commitment to Antara for growing its business, and that 300 crore is very much in the balance sheet. In fact, we've been able to send a land parcel in Dehradun, which will generate another 40 odd crore of cash. So there's more cash which has become available between when we had originally planned the business and now. So to that extent, we don't feel that this business will be resource constrained to grow. However, the conversation around the partners was more in the reference to the residential part of the senior business, wherein in the residences business, we don't want to commit our own capital to grow the business. There, we will want to partner a financial investor or another group entity who's already into commercial real estate and they want to get into residential real estate, wherein we can partner each other and they can do the heavy lifting in terms of capital and project management, wherein we can participate in terms of our software, our capability to sell it to seniors, our capability to operate that community, and bring all the expertise which we have garnered through our experience in Dehradun, and which we will be learning in Noida as well. Okay. Any other question? Please feel free to post on the chat window. Great. If there are no further questions, thank you so much for joining the Max India earnings call. Sorry, there's one more question which has come. It seems we are able to sell hardly 3-4 flats only. No, sorry, answer is not. It's not 3-4. Actually, we have, as we speak, we have averaged around about 6 units a month in Noida in the recent past. But if you really look at it over the last 12 months, we've sold about 150 units. So in that sense, we have sold more than 10 units a month, and frankly, we have is about 350 units to develop. So, and the construction is not yet started. So, actually half the project is sold even before construction has started. So it's not that we are only selling 3 to 4 units a month. The sales trajectory in Dehradun has been a bit slow, but that's about 2 units a month. But there, the trajectory there has been slow because of a variety of reasons which we have discussed in the past call, but happy to repeat. See, the thing is that when we launched Dehradun project, it was our first flagship project. It was a very aspirational project, wherein it was priced at let's say a golf course road Gurgaon price in Dehradun without a golf course, but it's a very, very pristine project. It has a valley which flows with a river on the one side. It has a Mussoorie Hill view on the other side. So and people who visited that community, they'll tell you that it is amongst the top 5 senior living communities in the world. So it was a very A, pricing was quite high. B, there were monthly charges were quite high. It was being sold as a 60-year lease. The location was Dehradun. Because of a 60-year lease, there was an issue around customer financing. So there were quite a few challenges in Dehradun project. All of that has been mitigated in Noida, which is why Noida has been a stupendous success. And to that extent, really, if we can keep averaging 6 units a month, we are more than happy, because really we have about 200 units left. So we can sell the entire project, very comfortably over the next 18 months. So to that extent, as long as we are able to maintain this trajectory or improve this trajectory, we are happy.
Also in Dehradun, just to add, we already sold about 140 odd of the 197 inventory that we have. Ajay, there's a question on the market value of the unsold inventory in Dehradun.
And the clubhouse and the other assets, basically to understand the 150 value. Ajay, you are on mute. Sorry, Ajay, you are on mute. Yeah, please go ahead.
So we are left with, as on date, we are left with approximately 50 odd units at Dehradun, which will have a sale value of 239 odd, of which our loan current outstanding is approximately 110. So the differential amount will be the accrual to us minus some of the selling expenses. Apart from that, the club is valued at approximately, as per the books, the club is valued approximately 70 crores. And there is no other asset, because as Jatin rightly pointed out that the P1 land is a separate asset which we've already liquidating. So that is approximately 36 crores.
Yeah, so broadly, the surplus in inventory and the value of the club and the unutilized FSI, they all add up to about the value at which the asset is being carried in the books. You might have seen about 150 crore value of the project.
Correct.
Okay.
Dehradun escalation, yes, we had an increase of 2.5% price increase twice in last 1.5 years. So, and that is pretty well accepted by the customers.
Ajay, another question that from club: will you receive any annual income stroke revenues?
Yeah, we have once we are fully sold out. Approximately 10% of the total revenue would be a management fee which will come. It's the club is giving you a non-ACB revenue. So there are 2 fragments of revenue from that community, which is one is the annual maintenance charges what we get, and the other is the non-ACB revenue in forms of cuisine and other functions and all that. So the ratio would be approximately 10:6. So approximately 10 to 12 crore rupees will be the ACB revenue, and approximately 6 to 8 crore rupees will be the revenue from other club operations.
Next question is on what's your target ROCE in 2 years? See, I don't think so that you can look at this ROCE in 2 years, because we are like a startup at this point in time. And a startup needs at least 5 years to mature to some stage, if not more. But clearly the 5-year target Rajat had shared in terms of in his presentation, to say that we are looking at 20 to 25% IRR across our business verticals, wherein in the in the care homes, care at home, Medcare businesses, the IRRs could be more closer to 25 than 20, whereas in the residential part of it could be more closer to 20 than 25. So on a blended basis, it could be a IRR of between 20 to 25%, and automatically the ROCE will tend to be higher, over the longer term, because the IRR of these businesses is in the 20 to 25% range. Unutilized FSI, what's the plan to utilize the same? Currently, there is no plan to utilize the same because, obviously we still have units to sell in Dehradun. At some stage, if we have, we will be happy to share the plan. Any other questions? Okay, with that, thank you very much. Sorry, there's one more. By when do you plan to sell the remaining 50 units? So we are averaging around 2 units a month. Like I said, 1.5 to 2 a month. So say, if not in the next, it should be, we should be able to sell all of it in the next 24 to 36 months. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining the Max India. Revenue growth rate expected. Sorry, this. Can you be more specific in terms of which business? Overall, okay. So, I think the overall, it's difficult to put a target on a year-by-year basis because, like I said, we are still building the businesses. But there's clearly as you can see, two things. One is that there's a sequential expansion of revenue and there's a very sharp sequential growth in revenues happening across various business lines. That's sort of point number one. And point number two is that our North Star is to really get to a 500 crore revenue in 5 years. So that remains intact. Yes, you are right. There are 50 odd units left in Dehradun. Current composition of other equity. Sorry, Nishant, can you just go to
the slide one?
You mean other assets? I would mean not other equity. So other assets, if you really look at it, there are 3 floors we own in Max Towers, which is the top 3 floors, against which we expect a rental income to be generated. The value of those floors or investment in those floors is about 100 crore. Then there's a cash of about 438 crores in the balance sheet. This includes the recent monetization. The recent monetization which we did in the land parcel in Dehradun, because of which we have about 438 crores, of which 92 crore is allocated to the capital reduction program, and the balance is available for growth of businesses under Antara brand. Okay, what is the value at which it was sold? The land parcel was sold for about 41 crores. We have received about 15 crores of that. The balance is expected to be received within the coming quarter, or within the next quarter. Max Tower stake is for the long term. Very good question. So I think it is more. I'll say it's tactical because we bought these 3 floors very long back. I think must be some 5-6 years back, or maybe more. Actually more. Must be even longer. And these were meant to be our corporate office. Now, obviously, Max Group has undergone a lot of restructuring and some of those things, because of which today, as we speak, the Max, one of the Max entity, Max India and Max Financial put together, they are on one floor. There is the second floor is meant to be. Is meant to be given to Antara for its business needs. The third floor is really available. So we have obviously two options. One is we just sell the third floor and realize the surplus cash from there. The other option is we sell all the 3 floors and become pure rental. We are pretty open to depending on the capital needs of the business, because obviously we are not in the business to hold real estate. So depending on if we need 40 crore, 30, 40 crores, we may sell 1 floor. If we need 100 crore, we'll sell all the floors. So we are quite clear that, this is a non-strategic asset for us. And the next question is, doesn't Max Towers come in Max Ventures Group? Absolutely right. But even before Max Ventures stepped in, Max India had the 3 floors for the entire Max Group. So to that extent, those floors have been owned even before Max Ventures has stepped in. So they own the other floors, but not these top 3 floors. So the top 3 floors are owned by Max India. Will promoters participate in capital reduction? No. They have very clearly articulated that they don't want to participate in capital reduction. They are, very, let me say, excited and positive on the value creation opportunity, which is available there in the Antara's businesses, and are very deeply involved and engaged in building that value and discovering that value. So to that extent, they are not looking at any exit through capital reduction. The next is, can you please throw more color on business investments, segmental revenue? Why has the revenue fallen YOY? So the revenue on business investment changes because the business investment vertical really is in the standalone balance sheet of Max India, wherein we have two sources of revenue. One is the shared services, which is that, people like me who straddle across the group. For example, I am a Max Financial resource, but I straddle across Max India, so my costs are charged to Max India. Similarly, there are people in Max India whose costs are charged to Max Financial because they support Max Financial also. So there's that revenue. And then there's the revenue on treasury income because of the surplus cash we have. So depending on, what support, how much support, what the costs at respective entities are, whether the treasury corpus is higher or lower, the revenue fluctuates at a standalone level. I think the critical piece here is not the revenue at a Max India standalone level, but the critical piece here is how Antara is progressing, which I think is progressing in a good direction. Like Rajat said that, already we are at about 11% margin in both care at home as well as the Medcare business. While the care homes are currently burning cash, but again there, we are currently, because of COVID, running only at 12% occupancy. But the moment that occupancy reaches the 55%, if you just extrapolate the revenues, you will figure out that, it will be very comfortably be profitable. And, we are now reaching the occupancies of, closer to 30% and also, so to that extent, I think these are the businesses wherein the value creation will happen and the value discovery will happen. I mean, so far as Max India is concerned, you can just value it at the cash available. The next one is current investment 24 in cash. Why have we accounted remaining cash? Sorry. I'm not very clear on the question, but it may be that, the cash may be because, we may have some fixed deposits and all, but we don't keep cash. So if your question is that, do we have, currency notes in our hand, the answer is absolutely no. So that I can confirm to you. What will be the value per floor at Max Tower? We own these floors are leased from Max Venture. No, so this question I've already answered. The next question is invested capital of 200 in Antara. Is it our own funds or total outlay till date? So invested capital in Antara is currently, about 400 crore.
They're saying Antara 2. Jatin, the question is on Antara 2, the second gap. Antara 2.
Oh, Antara 2.
Yeah.
No, okay. So this 200 crore is essentially the investment which will go into the, the multi-community model. So for example, we have investments. We have currently, investments in Noida project. We have a land parcel in Greater Noida, which is another 60 crore odd investment there. Again, that's another parcel which either we will develop or monetize. So therefore, like I said, we are quite clear that we don't want to build an asset-heavy business. Whatever asset we have, either will be put to use or will be monetized. So, so therefore, like we have done in Dehradun, we may end up monetizing even Greater Noida or end up developing it. So we'll be happy to share more details at the right time. The value, approximate value, we've already put in the chart as 100 crore. So we don't have any, this is fine, we've addressed. What is the cash burn on revenue account in the next 2 years? Okay. So the cash burn will really depend on, which business is at which level of maturity. So for example, the Gurgaon and the, let's say, as an example, the Gurgaon and Greater Kailash care homes would have broken even. But if we set up another 5 or 10 or 15 care homes over the next 2 years, there'll be burn on account of those care homes. So it's like a, perpetual growth versus burn model. Obviously, this capital of 225 crore is meant to be deployed in this business. So therefore, in some sense, either it'll go into capex or cash burn over the period of time. But that really is the plan. But what we will do is to give investors a better visibility on how the profitability is trending. We will give you cohort-wise, performance metrics. So in the sense that we'll always show you, for example, Greater Kailash and Gurgaon care home separately, so that you can see how that is maturing versus, let's say, what we set up this year. So that there's clear visibility on paths to profitability and the profitability potential of these businesses. Fixed deposits part of financial assets. Yes, answer is that these are all cash and bank balances. So yes, financial assets. Shall we do NCLT filing only after success? Yes, the NCLT filing cannot happen simultaneously. It has to wait for the shareholder approval, because this is a different process under Section 66, wherein we take the shareholder approval first, then we file to NCLT. Otherwise, what normally happens is you file with NCLT, then NCLT asks you to take the shareholder approval. So it's just that we are reversing the process. So to that extent, the overall time taken will still be similar or lesser actually in this process. Okay, great. So since we have no further questions, thank you so much for being on the Max India call, and thank you for your interest in the Max India growth story and all the detailed questions which you've asked on the business performance, as well as on the capital reduction. We'll obviously keep you updated, and we'll look forward to have many more interactions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
The recording has stopped.